Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly Ellefson, and this is 5810 Copycat Crime with Dr. Helfgott. This is week 10. It's the end. This was a fantastic course. There's just, I know I'll be for weeks be unpacking so much of this. And so let me begin. So we're focusing this week on what are my thoughts about the notion that we have moved from the ethical realm of the real to the aesthetic realm of the hyperreal to the digital realm of the unreal. And what would be my suggestions for what we should do to mitigate the effects of violent media while appreciating the positive effects of media, technology, and digital culture. And so I think where I will begin the conversation is at the argument that millions consume violent media and don't offend, that it completely misses the point. Media doesn't affect everyone the same way. It affects the edge sitters. And so we've got the ethical realm of the real, which media reflects reality. And then we have the aesthetic realm of the hyperreal, and that's media stylized and it beautifies the violence. And then we have digital realm of the unreal, and media becomes immersive and creates whole worlds. And so when we're thinking about the shift, right, from the ethical real to the hyperreal to the digital unreal, the ethical realm of the real, when media reflects reality, crime stories once functioned as moral narratives, anchoring harm in ethics, accountability, community standards. And Dr. Helfgott defines this as the period when reflected the real world, grounding in meaning and shared moral reference points. And then we move to the aesthetic realm of the hyperreal. And this is when media stylizes reality. So violence becomes cinematic, choreographed, and pleasurable to watch. And the spectator's effective response is shaped by the aesthetic techniques that blur empathy and desire. And then Young 2009 shows how micro moments of pleasure arise before violence, moments of desire when spectators identify with stylized aggression. And so this is where media violence stops being informational and becomes experiential. And so the digital realm of the unreal, when media becomes a world of its own, technology collapses boundaries between spectator, performer, fantasy, and identity. And the digital realm provides endless social media opportunities to make nobodies into somebodies, amplifying edge sitters seeking meaning, identity, and fame, right? And so this is where copycat thrives. No longer imitation, but identity construction through digital subcultures, pseudo communities, and algorithmic reinforcement loops. And so copycat effects don't come from millions. They come from few, the edge sitters, who are isolated, angry, or searching for identity. And then um, we we don't need to ban media. We need to change how we tell the stories. Um, and we need to stop glorifying the violence. Um, and so the idea that millions consume violent media and don't offend really misses the point. Um, we learned that media doesn't affect everyone the same way. It affects the edge sitters, the people that are already struggling. And so the shift from real to the hyperreal to the digital unreal uh, shows how technology now gives those edge sitters whole worlds to disappear into. And so our job isn't to ban media, but to change how we tell the stories and to stop glorifying the violence. Um, and so I also want to talk about social media contagion. And or just social contagion is meaning making, but it's turbocharged. And so social contagion, the collective meaning making under pressure, is what that is. And so humans watch each other to figure out what events mean. And when uncertainty or emotion is a high, those meanings replicate like wildfire. And that comes from, both the Surette 2015 and Helfgott 2019. And then we have contagion isn't about um, copying the act. Um, it's about copying the interpretation of the act. So, and Bandura would call it symbolic modeling. And we internalize the meaning we think a behavior carries, not just the behavior itself. Um, and then the behavior spreads only after the meaning has been framed, shared, and validated by a group. And this is where Manning's constructed reality comes in. The narrative architecture is the real accelerant. And in digital space, meaning spreads before the facts catch up. And that's the hyperreal, the unreal shift that Drillard warned about. And we imitate the aesthetic signal long before understanding the actual event. And copycat crime sits exactly at that intersection. The individual isn't imitating a discrete act. They're interacting with socially produced scripts, an emotional narrative that's already circulating. And that also is Helfgott 2019 and Surette 2015. And so social contagion is just meaning making in a feedback loop where the story becomes the spark and the event. And so this was a fascinating course. And I'm just grateful I was able to take it. Fascinating. Thank you so much.